This introduction video begins our exploration into what I am calling the perception parables. However, after studying them, I realize these parables are not as straightforward as the ones we just covered in the Awakening series of parables. And what I have concluded? That the difficulty in understanding is intentional. Hi, I'm Lisa. Welcome back to Biblical Reality Check. My goal is to make these perception parables clear without oversimplifying them. But first, we need to understand that the awakening parables are simple because awakening is simple at its core. It's the moment consciousness first stirs. But perception is different. If awakening is the ignition, then perception is the calibration. It is the refinement of consciousness, the ability to see beneath appearances, to discern value, to recognize timing, and to understand the hidden processes that shape reality. These parables require a different kind of perceiving. They operate at a deeper psychological level, and without a framework, they can feel abstract or confusing. So, before we begin the series, I want to give you the keys that make these parables not only understandable, but transformative. In the awakening parables, Jesus uses metaphors and symbols to describe the moment awakening begins: a seed falling on good soil, a lamp being lit, a mustard seed growing, or leaven expanding. These are intuitive images. We get them on a visceral level, even before explanation or being given the keys. But perception is the next, more difficult stage to discern. Perception is not about waking up, it's about learning to see. Perception is the ability to discern what is real beneath what merely appears, and that requires a different level of maturity. These parables are more complex, partly because they deal with subconscious processes, hidden value, discernment, timing, inner sorting, misperception, and mental and emotional intelligence. I'll explain these concepts in detail as we go along. For now, just understand that these are not sensory concepts. They're psychological and symbolic. They require the listener to hold paradox, to recognize patterns, and to understand that inner growth often happens beneath awareness. Without a framework, these parables can feel like riddles. With a framework, they become a map into the human psyche. Before we go deeper, however, I want to acknowledge something important. Many of us grew up hearing these parables taught in very traditional ways, often as moral lessons, warnings, or simple stories about faith, redemption, and salvation. These interpretations aren't wrong. They're sincere, and they've helped a lot of people. But those interpretations operate at the surface level of the text. Jesus wasn't just telling stories about farming or fishing or treasure. He was describing the inner architecture of consciousness, the way perception develops, the way truth grows, and the way the mind learns to see what is real. Traditional interpretations often miss this because they focus on the external meaning, the preacher, the sinner, the church, the end times. But Jesus is speaking in symbolic language. He is speaking the same way the prophets spoke, the same way wisdom literature speaks, and perhaps most importantly, the same way the human psyche speaks. So, in this series, we're going to explore the deeper layers of these parables, not to replace traditional readings, but to reveal the psychological depth that has always been there. The keys for understanding the deeper layers of these parables are as follows. Key number 1, these parables operate symbolically, not literally. Key number 2, growth is often invisible. Key number 3, Value is hidden until perception matures. Key number 4, discernment develops in stages. And key number 5, these parables describe laws, not lessons. They illuminate predictable patterns of how perception develops. Without this framework, the parables on perception feel abstract. With it, they become a roadmap for emotional and mental intelligence. Through the order we'll be looking at these parables, you'll see how Jesus describes the evolution of inner sight, from the first invisible stirrings of truth to the recognition of value, to the sorting of illusions, to the discernment of timing. This is not random storytelling. This is a structured system for developing perception. Each episode will take one parable and explore the psychological mechanism, the inner law, the symbolic structure, the scientific parallels, and the practical application. By the end of the series, you'll understand how Jesus describes the development of inner sight, step by step, stage by stage. If the awakening parables opened your eyes, the perception parables will train your vision. They will show you how to see the world and yourself with clarity, depth, and discernment. So let's begin with the first stage in our next video, the parable of the growing seed, the mystery of unseen growth. See you there. Thanks for watching.